Hi guys, hi, hello, how's it going? How are you doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am diving into my cream bronzers and I have clearly not dove as deeply into cream bronze as I have into cream blush, but that's okay. I still have a few to go over with you today. One of them is actually categorized more as a contour, and I do use it as a contour, but it is the only cream contour I have, so I thought I would pull it into this little ditty of a video with the bronzers. Yeah, that's what we're doing today. I hope that that sounds like something that you're interested in. And if it does, for sure, keep on watching. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I am a lover of all things high-end, colorful beauty and self-care. I also work in the beauty industry as a district leader for Ulta, so I get a lot of education in my position, and I like to bring you all that education through things like reviews and project pens and empties and all of the regular beauty guru kind of thought process when it comes to videos. But I also just kind of like to chit chat about makeup, and I'm assuming that if you're here, you also like to chit chat about makeup. So I hope that you find that this channel soothes your soul as much as it soothes mine. And if it does, I hope that you'll want to subscribe before you go. And with that said, let's roll in to these cream bronzers and contour, and let's see how we feel about them. So I only have 7, which is crazy because I think I had like 20 blushes or something like that. I didn't start getting into the cream product range until like late 2020, right? And I kind of used 2021 to filter in some cream products into my beauty collection. And then this year, as I'm going through them, I'm finding that there are some that I just don't like at all. I think I had one other cream bronzer type product, and it was by Trustique, and I actually decluttered that through my Shop My Stash series. I found that I just didn't like it. It just didn't blend out, and I want the cream products that I have in my life to be perfect cream products, right? I am getting older. Cream products typically are, the products that they say work best on aging skin. I don't think that these products work any better or worse on my skin as a 45-year-old lady, but I do like them, and I've used every single one of these, so I do have quite a good grasp on how I feel about them. So that's a plus. I think there were a couple of blushes that I haven't used yet when I went over my cream blushes with you, and there will be a couple of cream and liquid highlights when I do that video that I won't have used in the past either. So the first one I'm going to go over with you is this one. This is by Yensa, and this came to me actually in an IPSY Plus, and it came with a brush. This is the brush that it came with, and it specifically comes in a set that you can buy on the Yensa website for $50, or you can get this guy for $38. So I was actually happy to have the brush as well, because I'm also kind of a brush hoarder. So this one is called the Yensa Sunlit Glow Silk Bronzing Base. So this one kind of stumped me because I'm not 100% sure that this actually bronzes my skin. And maybe it's just too light for my skin. I'm just not sure. I don't think it's too light for my skin, but it is very orange. I am gonna swatch it right here. So you can see it is kind of orange, but also as you kind of blend it out, I don't know if you can see, but it almost disappears. And that was a little bit disheartening for me because I really want the bronze that I put on my skin to look like bronzer on my skin. So there's that. The notes that I have on this is that it is really good for skin. It's got some really great skincare ingredients. I don't know if you guys know much about Yensa, but Yensa as a brand boasts 8 superfood ingredients into every single one of their products. So it's got some really great skincare ingredients to it. It makes you want to love it, right? It is lightweight and creamy. It does feel very silky in the pan, and it does feel very lightweight on your face. There's only one shade of this, so when I say that maybe it's just not my shade, I have no options, right? This is the only shade that you can get on the Yensa website. And I did go in and check on that as recently as yesterday to make sure that I wasn't speaking out my butt, because sometimes I do that. But this is the only shade that you can get, which isn't super inclusive, right? If it blends out on me, you know, any darker skin tone than my pasty white skin, it's not even going to show up. It's really only for when you want a very, very undetectable bronzing to your skin, or as a base, which it's clearly called the Silk Bronzing Base, to another bronzer going on top. It's not sticky. It is very creamy, very silky, but I can see this being a really great bronzing base for anything that you put on top of it. It does give a little bit of color, but it's honestly, if you're putting a foundation on or anything like that, it's not going to give you any kind of color beyond what you've already put on, because you saw it as I started to blend it out, there just wasn't anything to it. So I am going to swatch it again right here so that we just have that swatch to look at in comparison to some of the other swatches as well. This is decent. It's just honestly not my favorite, and I think it's not my favorite because I am a blender. I like to blend things in, and as you blend it, it blends away. So the next ones I have on here are actually, I have two of these. These are the Juvia's Place color sticks, I think they're called, shade sticks. They're $16 a piece. They're meant to be foundation or anything that you want to use them for. I did initially get them for contour. I wanted to use them as contours. I don't think that these either one are great contour shades for me, so I have used them as bronzers. With that said, because they are made to be foundations, they actually go into the skin and they're just beautiful. These do come in 30 different shades, so no matter what you're trying to do with them, conceal or foundation or bronze or even contour, if you can find the right shade for you, you're gonna be able to find that, I do believe. And Juvia's Place is super inclusive, so they have a really great shade range in those 30 shades. They have really deep to really light. So these are super creamy. They last forever because they're meant to be a foundation, and they look so natural on your skin because, again, they're meant to be a foundation, right? So I have this shade here, which is the shade Nambia, and it's really dark. This is like my summer bronzer shade. The great thing about these is when you blend them out, they can get, I guess, a lot more sheer than what they are. So this is that Nambia shade. But as I blend it, you can see it does sheer out to a really nice bronzed color without that deep darkness that is actually part of the swatch. So this would be like my summer bronze, and then this is my all the rest of the year bronze, and this one is in the shade Guinea. I use this shade actually quite often. It's just so beautiful. Again, it blends out really well, just like the other one. And it just becomes like the perfect bronzing shade for my skin tone. It does lean a little bit on the orange side, honestly, but because my skin is kind of yellow, it actually goes really pretty perfectly on my skin. And those, as I said, those come in at $16, so they're a really great price point. A lot of bang for your buck here. I think I ended up getting mine for like $8 a piece because they were on sale at Ulta Beauty. So for this one, $38, there's 1 ounce of product in here, or 30 grams. That's an awful lot that you're getting for $38. But for these are 9.7 grams, so about a third of the amount of product that is in this guy for $16. So when you think most bang for your buck, probably the Yensa one. But again, these last forever, and you saw me blend them out. They don't blend away to nothing, whereas I do feel like the Yensa one does blend away to absolutely nothing. The next one I have here is this one, and this is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt. So I guess this one would be also considered a contour, and I have the Fenty Beauty one as well. But this one, I think actually I do use as a contour, to be honest, because it is a little bit more gray toned. And why are you not? I think my contraption is broken, which, oh, there we go. So I spoke a little bit about this component when we talked about the blushes, because I do have a Makeup by Mario blush that's in the same kind of component, and I think it's kind of a piece of poo. Because number one, it took me forever to get it rolled back up. Number two, this brush is worthless. It truly is a worthless brush. I wish that we had had a better component without the brush. I think that that would like solidify me on maybe even buying more, because this is a really, really nice product. This is $28 for 0.37 ounces, so 10.5 grams. So just a smidge bit more than these guys, and these guys were $16. This one is $28. These blend well, but they are a little bit harder to blend out than even the Juvia's Place sticks, or even like this one or the Fenty Beauty one that I'll talk about in a minute. They do take a little bit more effort, so you do have to finesse them a little bit more. But with that said, I do think that it is a beautiful contour stick and a beautiful shade. So this one here is in the shade light medium, and it's a pretty perfect contour shade for my skin. You can see that it's a little bit more gray toned than some of these other ones, and I'll show you how it blends. It does take just a smidge bit more work, and I do like going over the top of it with a brush versus a sponge or my fingers. I think that it creates such a beautiful shadow, and this one kind of can go between bronzer and contour for me, which is why I say I do like using it as a contour, and I have used it as a contour, but I also have used it as a bronzer. It does have a little bit of that like rosiness to it that gives it a really nice shade of bronze for me. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it does have a little bit more gray tone in the base, so it's definitely built for a contour, but I have used it as both. I do like this one, even though it takes a little bit more finessing. I would say, you know, do one section of your face at a time, finesse it, and then do the other section of your face and finesse it. It's not difficult by any means, but it does dry down a lot quicker, so you're going to need to work a little bit more fast than you would with some of the other ones, for sure. I would say that's the biggest difference between the bronzers and the blushes for me, is that none of these, to speak of, have any kind of like tackiness to them or stickiness to them, whereas a lot of the blushes kind of leave a little bit of a Vaseline-y feel to your skin, like maybe even your hair sticks to them. None of these guys do that. I have not noticed that at all with any of the bronzers in my collection. The next one I have is this one, and this one is the Alma Beauty Double Take. This one is in the Fair Lady shade. You'll see it again in my highlight one, because it does have a highlight on one end and a contour on the other. This is not much of a contour in my humble opinion. This is more of a bronze. I'm trying to make this so that we can see everything. I am the worst swatcher. I do think that this one and this Juvia's Place stick in Nambia have kind of a similar tone to them. This one also blends out really, really super easily. I think that this one is one of the easiest ones to use, in my opinion. It is so pretty. Blends out so nicely. It will get, you know, pretty sheer if you want it to. It does kind of leave my face looking a little bit dirty, so I have to be very, very careful with it, and very, very small amounts and build up versus going straight in. This one is one that I will put on a brush and then put on my face. I don't typically like to take a stick and put it right on my face, but with bronzer I will do it. I don't know why I won't do it with blush, but I'll do it with bronzer. I think this one I like using a brush first with rather than going straight on because of how deep in tone it is, and it doesn't it shears out, but not as sheer as I would need it to be, because this makes my face look kind of dirty. I maybe could have went with a shade lighter, but I didn't necessarily love the highlighter on the other end. And I think I picked this up from a FabFitFun edit sale, and I didn't have very many choices. So I do love this. I think it's amazing. I put in here that it's a creamy stick that almost melts immediately into the skin, which is what it does, but that is both good and bad. Good because you have a really nice finish to it. It looks very natural. Bad because it can look very dirty instead of bronzy on your face if you let it sink in too quickly. So again, do it on one side of your face, then do it on the other, or use a brush when you're using this one so you have a little bit more control over how quickly it melts into your skin, because it truly does really sink in almost immediately. So I also put on here that this one is cruelty-free and vegan. It's got lychee fruit for hydration, which is really great, and it is super easy to use. It does have 6 shades. It is double-ended, so for each one of these, you're going to get a contour stick or bronzer stick and a highlighting stick. I do find that this works better for me as a bronzer versus a contour. I don't use this warm of a shade as a contour. But this has 6 grams of product on the bronzer side, so 0.21 ounces. This guy is $40, but you are getting 2 different products in it. You're getting a highlighter and a bronzer. The bronzer has 6 ounces of product and the highlight has 5. So you're getting 11 ounces of product in this little stick, which is actually quite a bit. So of all the products, like this one so far has the most product in it, and it's like only $2 less than the most expensive. But I also think that the other ones work far better than that Yensa one. So I only have 2 more left, and one of them is this one. This one is the Milk Makeup Bronzer Stick in Baked. They used to make this in a giant 28-gram stick, and they no longer are making their big ones. So you can still purchase the big ones on Sephora because they still have them up for sale, because they still have those products available. But all their sticks are now coming in these little tiny versions because they're just easier to use. They cater more towards, you know, accurate placement. What is that? Accurate placement, I guess, is where I'm going to go with this. This is now considered their full-size product. This is $21, and it has 0.19 ounces of product, or 5.7 grams, so almost the same amount as what is in this double stick. This is a cult favorite on the YouTubes, and there's a reason for it. It is a beautiful bronzer, and it is an almost perfect bronzer. All right, so that is the shade of that bronzer, and I think that it is just enough yellow and just enough bronzy that it blends out to just a really, really beautiful bronze. I do think it has the potential to get to too much, but it is almost mistake proof, if I'm honest. So that is it right there on my hand. And as you blend it out, it just becomes like such a beautiful bronzer. Now they do have 2 shades of this. There is a deeper one than this. I think it's deeper, not lighter, because this works for like fair to medium skin, and then the deeper one is supposed to work for medium to deep skin. And I do think that it works really well. It blends out beautifully with your fingers, with a brush, with a sponge, any way you want to do it. Mine is kind of a hot mess because I've used it and then accidentally put the cap on top of it and kind of squished it. I tried to use the little plastic cap that comes on this too over again, and then the plastic cap stuck to it. Mine's kind of a hot mess, but the notes that I have for this one is that it blends beautifully. It's super easy to use. It's very buildable, which it is. You can make it deeper if you want to. You just have to make sure that it dries down really well prior to going in with a second coat. I usually will use a brush if I'm going to go in with more than one coat of it, so that it's, and stipple it on so it's a little less like saturated. And then also the fact that it kind of has a nice coconutty scent to it when it is, you know, brand new. I think that this one is the perfect size, honestly. I've had this in my collection for going on 4 years, and I've used it obviously, but I still have so much of it. You will never use the whole thing before it goes bad. As a matter of fact, mine I might need to replace because it no longer smells like coconut. So if I notice that it starts like breaking out my skin in the future when I use it, I'll have to replace it. But it is a really, really beautiful bronzer. I do think that its coloring looks a lot like this Yensa one. This one is definitely better. I think I could get rid of this Yensa one and not even worry. The only reason why I keep this around is because it is a really great base for longevity reasons for a powder bronzer. All right, the last one I have here is this, and this is one of the Fenty Beauty matchsticks. This is actually a contour. It is a contour that I have on today. It is a contour stick that I wear all the time as a contour. I don't use this as a bronzer. So this is the one contour stick that I threw in here because it didn't make any sense to do one of these videos for just one contour stick. This is a very like gray toned contour. It is in the shade Amber. This guy is $28. It's got 0.25 ounces or 7.1 grams of product in this stick, which is a damn good amount of product and truly a really great price point for that amount of product. It blends beautifully. I can blend it out with a brush, which is what I did today. I can blend it out with a sponge, and it doesn't look patchy. It doesn't cling to the makeup underneath. I do go straight onto my face with this guy and then blend it with a brush. It doesn't pick up my makeup underneath, which is amazing. None of these really do, honestly. I think this one does. That one is best for like no makeup days. This is really buildable. I put 2 coats on today. It does dry down to a powder. If you're going to build it, just make sure that you let it sink in and dry onto your face and it's not a tacky formula, but when you first put it on, you can tell that there's a different kind of like product on your face versus like your foundation or your whatever else you have on. It even goes really well over the top of powder, which is surprising to me. I've used it over the top of like a powder foundation and it does perfectly fine. It is lightweight. It looks super natural. And this guy also comes in a mini, which is super fantastic. The mini is $14, so exactly half the price for just about half of the product. My shade is vegan. There's only one shade of this like contour stick that isn't a vegan shade, and that is Soft Amber, which is the shade lighter than this. But this is what this guy looks like, and I hope that you can tell that it is just a straight up like contour. Like these two, the Makeup by Mario and this one, are almost the same shade. The only difference is the Makeup by Mario, when it blends out, is a little bit more warm in tone than the Fenty Beauty one, which is why I won't use this one as a bronzer, but I have used the Makeup by Mario one as a bronzer. Those are all of my cream bronzers. I'm having fun going through this process with you, but unlike my cream blush video, there were some at the end of my cream blush video where I was like, I think I could get rid of a couple of these. I think I could get rid of several of these and be perfectly fine. With this one, I don't think that there's any that I would want to get rid of right away. I think the only one that, like, when I look at the tones, like these two are very, very similar, but like I said, this one will blend out to a really pretty perfect bronze, and this one doesn't. So this one I will keep because it's the only one that I use strictly as a contour stick. And then these two right here could be the same shade. I could get rid of this Yensa one and probably not even worry about it. But I'm going to hold on to it. It does make a really pretty perfect base for a powder bronzer. So I'm going to see how I like it over the next, several months. And who knows, when it comes to a bronzer declutter, maybe we'll see that I am decluttering those. But I don't really have a whole lot in my bronzer population to think about decluttering. So that being said, that is it. That is all I have for you. I would be interested to hear your thoughts on these cream bronzers. Do you have any of these cream bronzers? Do you have these? And do you use them as bronzers as well? I would certainly be interested to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the ones that I have? I don't have very many, so there's that, but here's a sneaky peek for you. I did pick up a new cream bronzer, and I'm excited to talk to you about it, but it won't be today. It'll be in my haul video because I'm super excited to talk to you about it. But who knows? Maybe one of these days we'll see these in a declutter. Probably not anytime soon. I don't have very many bronzers in my collection, to be honest. And we can see I only have 7 of them that are cream. So we'll probably hold on to them, even though I don't really love the Yensa one, if I'm honest. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that if you did, you're considering giving it a thumbs up. And as I said in the beginning, I hope you loved it so much that you're considering subscribing to my channel. If you do that, don't forget to hit the notification bell. I would love to welcome you also personally. So please let me know in the comments that you hit subscribe. I would love to say hi and welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that May so far is treating you all kindly. I hope that you and yours are well. I hope that you all are staying safe and loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye friends.